It's Dr. Tennant's Verbal Highs. Let's start the show with Lewis Tennant. Here we go. Guests and interviews that you're looking for with creators, innovators, and so much more. For all episodes and further info, verbalhighs.com is the place to go.
Welcome to Dr. Tennant's Verbal Highs, a podcast podcasted from Tamaki Makaurau, Auckland, New Zealand. My name is Lewis. I'm the host of the show. Welcome back. If you are a regular listener or you've dipped in and on out, if you're new here, welcome. This is episode number 132 of the show. And for those who do listen regularly, it's been a minute. I think it's been the longest minute that I have had, an extended minute between episodes, looking at the last ep with Ricardo Ball. That was 16th of November 2022, and it's been a nice wee break off. It wasn't intended, it just kind of happened. I got approached at the end of last year, completely out of the blue, by Newsroom Investigates, and they said, hey, we've done this Peter Ellis, The Crash Case and Me video series with a bunch of footage that was rescued about that very famous and very tragic New Zealand case of Peter Ellis being wrongly accused of one of the worst crimes I think I could imagine to be wrongly accused of. And this footage has been rescued and we made a video series about it. And I said, I know, I saw it, very good. And we're trying to figure out how to turn it into a podcast. So long story short, in December, that's what we did. We got it out. Well, that's what I did. Got to toot my own horn occasionally, under the guidance of Melanie Reid, the long-standing and respected New Zealand journalist behind that, and we got it out, and it went to. It's weird. It's sort of like never had a hit record, but we had a hit New Zealand podcast. It was number one on the iTunes charts for a few weeks, and it's actually a really great listen. Even if you don't remember the Peter Ellis case, maybe you're a bit younger or whatever, it's just a stunningly told story, and kind of his story deserved to be told. Tragically, as a lot of you will know, he passed away before he was exonerated. All this has happened in fairly recent years, so it's sort of a fitting tribute, but I don't know, it's a whole bunch of things. Go and have a listen. I'm very proud of it, very proud of that work, and it was nice getting involved with that. So that was one of the reasons, but also just had a wee break. So I had to think about it. It buzzed me out, bro, that why not have a break? Because it buzzed me out that I realised I started this in 2017, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So we're into the 7th year now this year. So what I'm going to do from here on in, big announcement, rather than fretting about trying to get X amount of episodes out each year as I normally do, and often I don't make target, I'm just going to pull it back a bit, because I think to me it was either like I stopped doing the podcast now just because it felt like it might have reached its natural conclusion, or I keep it going because it's a good database of chats with people, and I just put the brakes on a little, and do something manageable. So basically it's the 1st of March as I speak, and the 1st of every month from here on in, I will drop a new episode. So we're looking at 12 episodes a year until this thing stops. To my guest, Manuel Bundy. For those who know Manuel, real name Manuel Matisi, is a bit of an enigma to a lot of people because he is the classic, not a big noter. But I'd liken him to a character like Moo, even though they're quite different. Moo from Freddy's, and a lot of people have said similar to me in that, yeah, they're both quiet in situations at the best of times, but when you get a little closer to them or around them, they're certainly not. And also, whenever they talk about stuff, you listen, because what they've got to say is pretty much always good gear. And how do you approach a career like Manny's as well? Because he's done so much, and it's not spelled out or listed in this show, because again, that's part of kind of how he is and how he operates. So I went for the let's just have a riff kind of conversation, which I think went pretty well. But yeah, there's heaps we did not cover. But you will notice, if you're someone who's not kind of aware of that DJ world and kind of the music that Manuel's produced and the other projects he's been involved with, the wee drops of things that he's been involved with that we talk about during the episode give some indication of the hundreds of other things we could have talked about, but also the caliber of them, like the fact that he toured with Pauly Fuemana for nearly a year, just after How Bizarre became one of the biggest pop tunes the world's ever seen. Thanks, Manuel, for coming in. It took us a while to get there. I know you've listened on and off for a while, so it literally was an honour to have you on in. Welcome back, everyone. It's nice to be back. I am a bit of a chef at the best of times. It's how I relax. I cook from scratch. But one of the most exciting things in my world is about to happen. It's not cooking. I'm going to nail this introduction. I'm going to cobble the rest of the episode together, and then I'm going to go to the fried chicken joint up the road, which does the best fries and fried chicken. I mean, it's death row business. It's under $15, and I'm going to overeat that, and then I'm going to lie on the couch and reflect on what a good day it's been. Toodle-hoo!
Straight down from up above.
There was a gig, like, this is way back in the day. So how I got the Bundy name is, this is way back, late 80s. I used to do gigs with Sam Hill.
Yeah.
And we did this gig at, I think it was the Siren or something like that. And it was called Welcome to the Terror Dome.
Yeah.
And we decided to change our surnames to serial killers.
Right.
And I ended up with the Ted Bundy. So I went with that. And then, because I had a different DJ name before that.
What was that?
I was the Boogeyman.
Oh, God. It's like those early rapper names. You know,
Yeah.
Something ice or something cool.
It was worse before. It was the Boogie Woogie Man before that.
Yeah.
Because when I did Rule the Track, on the flyer, there's Boogie Woogie Man.
Yeah.
And that's me.
Yeah.
And that was because I was a fan of old school wrestling.
Right.
And there was a wrestler called the Boogie Woogie Man.
The Kiwi wrestling or the American
American
wrestling? Right.
Yeah.
Because it was on the mat here as well, right?
Oh yeah, classic.
So it works, man. Like Manuel, obviously, I think it's a great name. It's why you've stuck with it. Is that why you stuck with it? Because it does roll off the tongue, even though it comes from like a notorious serial killer.
I just stuck with it, and I just couldn't be fucked changing it, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it's funny because people are like, "What?" They're like, "Why did you?" Over the years, people go, "Why did you have that?" Why?
Yeah.
And I have to explain it every time. Like, well, it's this gig, blah blah blah. That was where people started to really. That's when I got my name out.
That's right. And if it connects for a gig or whatever, it's like you can't go changing it all the time, or you run into like who's who.
And it was different. So
yeah. So what's the path to music, man? Like big musical family?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to say yes because. My old man, he was a country music fan.
Yeah.
And of course, Samoan music, traditional Samoan music, which was always played in the house. And my mother was a massive music fan.
Yeah.
Again, traditional Samoan music.
Yeah.
And now went from there and, I grew up in a religious household out in South Auckland. And then there was always music around in the neighborhood as well, being like a, first generation New Zealand born.
And so both your parents Samoan?
Yeah.
How does, it's unusual country and western tastes for, Samoan dad,
but it's probably, I talked to like Chip Matthews, and his old man was a big country music fan. Because it's from that era. It's their generation.
Well, you just made something make sense to me. I had a Samoan student last year who was actually doing shows on Mai. So it was like a sort of like double surprise in terms of those two combinations when he said he was really into country and western. But it makes sense now. It probably was like from a dad or a granddad in the house, right?
It's their generation.
Yeah.
Kenny Rogers, Eddie Lowe.
Yeah.
That sort of shit. It just makes me laugh, man, because I remember the old man, before he'd go out to have a party on the weekend, and he'll be like, can you tape That's Country for me? Yeah. Which was a show on Saturday nights on the tape it on the VHS. I'm like, yeah, sure.
But so the path to, because I did read that you tried piano, and I think it didn't sound like to me it was like really smacked of the era. Like it wasn't that the instrument didn't interest you, it was just that the way it was taught was super boring, and they weren't giving you anything that was in your lane, right?
It was, again, coming from an island family. When I went to De La Salle College, and that's the first time I had a music class. In the music class, one of the first lessons was it wasn't a lesson, but they just feel the students out. So they give everyone like a sheet of music, like a stave, just a sheet of music.
Yeah.
The teacher would play notes up and down on the piano, and you'd have to place where you think the notes would be on the stave. And I must have done okay, because then I got the letter. My parents got the letter. We highly recommend your son learns an instrument.
Yeah.
Which they saw as your son has to learn an instrument. And then I had
It's that thing of trying to force the teenagers to do something, right?
Yeah, and I was like, I just guessed, but I must have guessed right because I got them all right. So
So you're saying, in other words, there was your ear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I ended up doing that, and it wasn't really me, because he had boring scales and all that sort of shit. And it didn't last that long, but that's when I knew there was something in there.
Yeah. But you must have known that just listening to tunes as well, music around you.
Yeah, I mean, there was always music around,
So not to put age on you, but I'm guessing that's early mid-80s at high school?
That was 81.
Yeah, 81.
Form 1.
Because you ended up, you didn't stick high school out, eh?
I got asked to leave.
Yeah, I was going to delicately approach that. I was like, that doesn't sound like the Manny I know these days. Why were you kicked out of school, bro?
No, I was asked to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's 7th form.
Yeah.
When you're 7th form, it's up to you to do the work.
Right.
Because the teacher's a bit more laid back.
Yeah.
And I didn't do anything. So, the teacher's like, the old man gets called into the school, and the teacher's like, I think he's run his race here. I think it's time to go.
I get why you made the distinction there, because getting kicked out is like you did something antisocial and get out of here. It was more like you didn't pull finger, and it's like, yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's not for him. And they just made the call.
So what was next, man? What'd you go and do?
After that, the old man's like, he's like, well, for me, I was like, sweet. Remember the old August holidays?
Yeah.
It was August holidays. It was around that time,
Yeah.
so I was like, sweet, I can just take 2 weeks off, maybe go on the dole.
Yeah.
I don't know. And the old man's like, you're not going on the dole. And he's like, I'm going to enroll you into a welding course.
Wow.
Because the old man was a steel worker.
Right. Okay, yeah.
And I was like, nah. So I got the Herald classifications. I tried to find like the nearest job I could find that was closest to the record store in town.
Yeah.
So I got a job at the share registry.
Yeah.
In the Southern Cross Building Society, which was on the corner of High Street.
What's it, like an admin job? Like shares, financial shares?
Well, I don't even know. I was just a clerk. I just pushing paper and just whatever.
Yeah.
Just so I could be close to the store, record store.
Yeah.
So I got that job 87. I was there for maybe 3 years.
But you weren't DJing at that stage, eh? You're just what they call a voracious buyer of music, right?
I was buying music because I started buying music at school.
Yeah.
Just the odd record here and there. Saving up the lunch money, or I had the odd part-time jobs. Saved up the old lunch money, buy the odd record. But then when I got a job, okay, I can really buy some records now. I started buying records there. I had a bit of a collection, and I was also around that time, I was hanging out with some mates from school who were mates with Sam Hill.
Yeah.
Because Sam Hill, DJ Sam Hill.
Yeah.
He's originally from South Auckland, and he already had a name in the local DJ scene.
Where are we now? It's like mid-late 80s? Mid-80s?
This is 87.
Yeah.
86, 87. And then I started mucking around with buying records. I was checking out DJs at clubs as well.
Yeah.
And then Sam would get gigs, and then I would help him out.
You're like a caddy.
Just tag along and play records, just like...
Carry a bin every now and again.
Yeah, just like, can you play here, play there, and I need a break, blah, blah, blah. And then from there, people started to take notice, and
New Zealand was way different then, eh? People forget, or either they didn't live through it. Like the New Zealand of the 80s is so different to now, culture and stuff. Because you're talking about DJing then. It's a very different thing to talking about someone taking up DJing now.
It was like one club,
that
you could actually go to like check out proper DJing.
Yeah. Hey, there still is in Auckland. It's gone full circle.
Very good, very good.
You probably don't remember this. Hey, we were doing one of those chains of 2-hour sets at it was Britomart Country Club, and you said exactly that. Like, you and I got a bit philosophical about it, and you were like, you said something that really stuck with me. You said something along the lines of like, Lewis, like the whole reason we got into this back in the day was to get away from like regular pub culture and to get really big speakers and play all this crazy new music, and now we're here playing where we tried to get away from. It does feel at places like that, like you're the cocktail piano player playing really quiet in the corner. It's almost like you're visually as much of a fixture as you are musically. Yeah.
There's that great Bukowski poem, The Man at the Piano.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say because I'll just wreck it, but you look at it, it's classic.
Does it relate to that?
It's just the guy at the piano playing someone else's music on a piano he doesn't own to people who aren't listening. And then he finishes the song, no one claps. The next song. Yeah.
Do you feel a bit more of that now, these days? Things have changed in that regard, eh?
Well, it depends where because, the places where we play, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah, people are there to...
That's what I'm saying. I'm not. I don't want to shoot us in the foot. I'm not trying. We both just gave each other, but it's like
I might lose my job.
It's not a diss. It's just an observation.
No, it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is.
It's a restaurant,
and we're happy to do it. And they look after us, and we get eat some great food, and that's right. But it was interesting because it has gone full circle in that regard.
But there are other places where you can do your thing.
But also there's so much of that, bro. It's like, as you know, it's like just the way people socialise and stuff changes. Like kids don't need an opportunity to go out and hang out on a Tuesday night now because everyone's so connected on their phones and all the rest of it. That's what I see. I see a lot of like those midweek club gigs that were real big back in the day. It's because unless someone else was on a landline to phone up, it was the only way you got out and connected with people, right?
And everyone has a massive library of music on their phones.
Yeah.
Or access to it.
Yeah.
So, hey.
Back to the 80s, I'm guessing the other influence was, because the other thing that was like, again, there was like a lot less outlets for all culture. And I'm just taking a guess there that like things like Star Wars being on TV, even though I didn't see it, but I'm guessing you were caught up in that first wave of hip hop coming to New Zealand, right?
That was 82.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the Tuesday documentary I hear. I was like 5 or 6 years old, so it's hearsay.
That was massive, bro, because, I mean, we were all into the early 80s, early forms of hip-hop, breakdancing and graffiti and all that sort of stuff. And when word got out that was coming on the telly, everyone knew it was coming on. So, and there were certain, everyone watched that. If you were into hip-hop, you had to watch it. There's certain moments in time back then.
Seeing Herbie Hancock's DJ scratch on Rocket on RTR, ready to roll.
I was seeing it on the Grammys. It was the same year Michael Jackson won like 100 awards for Thriller. He performed Rocket with DST on the stage, and I was like, okay, this is different. And there's also, remember Video Dispatch?
Yeah, I do, with Lloyd Scott or something like that. It was like it was set up like a kind of square news presenter thing.
It was the thing for kids.
Oh my God, I never would have remembered that unless you said that.
It was the thing for teenage kids.
Yeah.
And every now and again he'd do, now a report from America of the latest craze, breakdancing or the latest video game, the Pac-Man craze, things like that.
Yeah.
That's the early 80s.
Yeah. And so, you're totally caught up in that. And that's how, I mean, it's one of the ways that people here got, again, the world of communication was so different in what's going on in different parts of the world. But that's the way that a lot of people first got their glimpse of kind of two turntables and a mixer and that whole setup, right?
And like tapes from, if you've got mates at school, you've got cousins from America.
Yeah.
They bring tapes back. Those tapes will get re-recorded, dubbed off, passed around the school.
Yeah.
And just shit like that. And like...
I remember when I first got my first double cassette player. It's just like, oh my God, I can dub anything I want.
That was gold. That was gold.
Yeah, and the friend at school, I still got a couple of people at school I'd thank to this day for just having great music taste and buying more than me and giving me stuff to take home on tape to dub. Yeah. I just built up a whole lot of stuff I never would have heard if they weren't bringing me, if they weren't feeding me.
And then some guys who figured out if you could plug two tape decks together.
Oh, what does that do?
With the RCAs, and you can.
Oh, so you start doing 4 at a time.
You can play a tape on one tape and then record it on the other. If we didn't have a double tape deck.
Ah, yeah. Where were we? The 80s, but you didn't actually have a setup for quite a few years, right? You just played where you could, and
well, I just had the records, and I didn't actually get a pair of turntables until into my DJ career, like maybe 92.
chopping all over the place here, but I'll just go one more thing about the 80s and hip-hop culture, and also like buying music and the influence of people in those shops. You just happened to have your local record shop guy as the person who put together that street music compilation, right? That fit, like a lot of people, a lot of listeners will know that. Even if you Google it, you'll recognize the cover. Like, and I think a number of people won't know it was from New Zealand. Like, someone in New Zealand curated a really on point hip hop and kind of boogie compilation, right?
He was English.
He was English.
Yeah.
But he was your local record shop guy,
He
right?
was I wasn't even buying records then.
Yeah, yeah.
But I was in the store just hanging around, listening to the music. It would be the older guys, like my older brother, his generation, we buying records. And, I mean, you know, people, when that tape came out, everyone knew that he put it together. So, and it was a classic tape.
Yeah. And I think he sold a lot of that comp, right?
Yeah.
But you found your way into town, eh? Like, what I mean there is, like, when you started to kind of get a more advanced sense of music and DJing that was coming into the city and going out to different places. Talk a little bit about that.
Like I said, I was doing gigs with Sam, like helping him out, because he'd do little warehouse parties in the city and blah, blah, blah. And then there was one gig, it was called Summer Jam. I was asked to play. It was put together by Marvin Sartelli, and his family is quite big in early forms of Auckland hip-hop. His younger brother was in the Megazoids. And, he got me to play at one of his gigs, because he dug what I played, and which was a big thing for me, because that was my first gig at the Siren, the old Siren, which turned into Cor Celebre. And I played there. And, that was probably the first time, because I was a clubber before then. And it was funny. I remember, I think John Davis was there. He was just, because we just hired out the place. He hired it out, Marvin did. And he was just looking at me. He was just like, he had that look of, I didn't realise you DJ'd.
He's now a social media troll, right?
Mate, like he's got two names, right?
I think he was Flame Surfboards for a while,
so
and then that
him?
one got kicked off.
Is that him?
I think so, yeah.
Because I got confused, man. Because
He's a stirrer,
he
man.
messaged me, like he added me twice. Like he asked to add, and I mean, okay. So I thought that was him, and then I got added by. Then John Davis asked me that, and I was like, I got confused, man. And then he started talking about crypto, and I was like, no, this can't be him. So I unfriended Flame Surfboards.
What, did he annoy you?
No, because I just immediately I thought, oh, this isn't him. It's usually
Yeah. I think it was an undercover thing. I think the first one wasn't allowed. I think the first one was like got a long lag in Facebook jail. So the second one was created. I don't know.
What was he doing?
It's just some people are like, let's just say some people are provocateurs on social media.
Oh,
yeah.
Was this during lockdown?
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think we've taken this point too far.
No, that's good. I love talking about it.
So we still got to remember, you know, for all intents and purposes, especially, you know, you get older, suddenly when you're that age, you think you're all happening and stuff. We call it, you know, you're a kid at the time, right? So you're a kid, you got a day job. Are the night sets like getting later and later? Like you're turning up a bit rusty to your day job?
I was doing the odd one.
Yeah.
Because I was still, you know, I had to work. And then this would have been in 1990. I got asked to do like a 4-night residency at the Bretts.
Yeah.
Which sort of cut into my day job. So I was like, shit, okay. So I couldn't do both because I'm not going to do both. I'll never get any sleep. No. And then, so it's funny, man. I asked the old man, I said, I've got this other job. Because I always, you still had to look for your old man for a bit of advice. I was still young. I said, I've got this other job offer that sort of crosses over, but I can't do both, so I've got to take this one. I don't know. And he's like, which one pays more? And I was like, the DJ job. He goes, nice. I'll do that one.
Great. That's awesome.
Because if he said no, I wouldn't have done it. So,
and the gig, I got to be honest, man, like, it just occurred to me now, the gigs haven't dried up since, right?
No.
Yeah.
No.
You've always had something going on, somewhere to play?
I've been pretty lucky, man.
Yeah.
I mean, this is all I've done, man.
When I chatted to you, we hadn't seen each other for a while. That's how you ended up here that last time we played somewhere together. And when you said, I think I asked you, I don't know how it came about, but anyway, basically you were like, this is my main job. It always has been. I was like, man, that's pretty amazing to sustain that level of gigs for that long, especially in New Zealand, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's there's other guys as well who are still.
I know. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's pretty much the guys that started with me.
Yeah.
Like Sam's still out there.
Yeah.
Maybe he's Bevan.
Yeah.
He's still doing his thing.
Yeah. But just that.
Yeah.
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 So you took the night job, and then a part of that, as an aside, I watched this. You got to track down. There's this documentary that came out recently about. Did you hear through the grapevine about when Norm Cook put on that huge beach party in Brighton, and it didn't get totally out of hand, but too many people turned up.
Right.
You know this.
No, I've got the Norman Cook story.
Oh yeah. Oh, you tell me that in a sec. So the doco, great. So you got an actual story, and I've got a second-hand one through a doco. But in the doco, they need to come up with it actually blew my mind how much money he got for this. They needed to come up with £500,000 to put on this gig.
Was this when he was still Norman Cook?
He was Fatboy Slim. So height of late 90s, early 2000s.
Yep.
He did one corporate gig and got the £500,000. And I know you. So we're not talking anywhere near those numbers, but have you had those lucrative corporate gigs over there where you turn up somewhere that's not quite your steez, but that someone gives you good coin to play for the night?
Oh, you do get that, but not that much.
No, I know that. I know that.
But there is the corporate gig where they're like, oh, we'll just play a couple of grand to play to people who aren't even listening.
Yeah. What's the Norm Cook story?
He was over here with Beats International.
Yeah.
And I think they were playing at the power station. But anyway, I don't know, we ended up at some club or after party, and he was like, man, we really want to have a look around the city. This is the first time here. So it was me, Sam, and my mate, DJ Sire.
Yep.
He had this old, I think it was like a Ford station wagon, and he had this dog in the back seat. So he had his dog in the car, and I was like, Sire, Norman Cook wants to go for a little cruise around the city and just check things out. So, oh, yeah. So we all jumped in the station wagon, and there's me, Sam Hill, Sire's driving. In the back seat, it's me, Norman Cook, Wild Ski.
Yeah.
Sire's Alsatian. And we were all rammed, we were all stuck into his car, cruising around Auckland, and he's going, wow. And it's like, me and Sam always laugh about it. We're like, because this is
Yeah.
Slim. So every time we see Fatboy Slim, man, me and Sam see each other, we say, fuck, remember that time?
It's good he was into it. So one of the people, he came across really well in that doco. But it's really interesting.
He's a good. From what I know, I don't know, but he seems like a good dude.
He basically is totally up front with his life, right? He was getting too Wu-Tang for a while and had to give up drugs and alcohol, and now that's how he's kept his career, because he was just got too far out, as you probably would with that level of gigging and money and all the rest of it. But the doco is interesting, because basically the punchline of it is I think it maybe just tens of thousands of people turned up, and they just did not have the facilities or anything to cope with it. And you think it's going to end really badly, but because it's kind of a dance music gig, even though it just ends with the place trash just because there were so many people, there's no incidents or anything. But he basically was like, oh my God, I'm going to be kicked out of my hometown after this, because the end of it. The footage is amazing, bro. The footage is amazing. It's him in this booth with just the whole of Brighton, full of people, where they were expecting 10,000 or whatever they were expecting.
And how many showed up?
Oh, I'm going to butcher this, but it's just some crazy amount, a couple 100,000 or something. People drove in. People are parking their cars wherever they could. They didn't have enough trains to get people back to London. Yeah. The whole place smelt of piss because they didn't have enough toilets for the next few days. But everyone, it didn't get ugly. So you get you shake off the day job. You start playing more in town.
This was the Bretts.
Yeah.
At the Shortland Bar. And that's where I met a lot of people there through that gig. That's where I met Raw, DJ Raw, King Kapisi and his family, because Gifford and Brown would come up and play, and I guess the music drew them in, because it was because this was 1990 to 93.
Yeah.
So if you can picture the music that came out at that time,
Daisy Age kind of hip hop.
Yeah, Cypress and Wu-Tang and stuff.
93, 92 were the years.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And I was playing all that shit. So, and then Older plus DLT, he bombed the whole bar. So the bar just looked right. and the sound system was dope. And it was,
So what is that? Are you saying that was your residency?
I was there for Wednesday to Saturday.
Wow.
Starting from 5 till close.
Wow.
And back then bars closed at, I think they closed at 10.
Yeah.
And then the late license came in to 11. And then sometimes we could stretch it to 12. And the clubs closed at 3 back then. Yeah, closed at 3 back then. So, yeah. And after that, people would just rock down to the box after that.
Do you ever get booked after midnight these days?
I don't look for it.
No, neither. Well, I play once every couple of months, and I'm happy with that. But it's less appealing than it used to be.
It's probably the last time was maybe the turnaround.
Yeah,
that would go till like 6 a.m.
Yeah,
because and they were good times, man. I think because when they changed the closing time to 4.
Yeah,
which I think it sucks. From 6 to 4.
Yeah.
They might as well close it at 3. Because 4 is a bit of a tease, you know.
I see what you're saying.
They might as well close at 3 because, and plus, I don't know, but I mean, you know.
Well, there was that era where you could walk out of Calibre at 10 a.m.
Yeah, and from 4 till whenever, that's when the magic happens.
Yeah, and I think
for DJs, that's when you really.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the trouble that's caused by really excessive drinking, but people are long gone; they're in bed by then.
Yeah, and it's only the hardcore dedicated that are left.
Yeah,
that just want to dance.
It's interesting, eh?
Because those are the best sets from that time. After
absolutely. Yeah. And when you'd see an international who'd go that long, like I'm thinking, like when I first saw people like Derek Carter and that coming through, and they just do that thing where they kind of jack it out for a couple of hours, and then if you're still around, then they just go somewhere completely different for a few hours, then bring it up again, and interesting.
They don't have to worry about keeping people there because they're there.
Yeah,
the people who are left, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah,
yeah. I remember seeing. Sorry to veer off. I remember seeing.
This is how these work. We're all over the place.
I remember seeing. What's his name? Andrew Weatherall.
Yeah. At
the box. I think it was his first set here.
Yeah.
And I remember there weren't many people there, but it was mostly like. I don't want to say it's mostly DJs, but it was like. I was sitting.
Anoraks.
I was standing there with Rob Salmon, and a few of us. Greg Seymour. I remember Greg Seymour was there. And we were just watching this dude, man. And we're like, and this would have been, I'm not sure, I might be around 91, 92. But, bro, you could just tell this guy was different. Because he just, I think he changed everything, actually, for house DJs here.
Yeah.
Well, because Rob, he was here just last year to visit the family. And we were talking about that. I said, bro, remember that Andrew Weatherall set? And he's like, bro, that was a massive influence for him because he's originally a hip-hop DJ.
Yeah.
And then he was going into house. And when he saw him play, he was like, I can play whatever I want.
I think we're in a really good spot here. And I was thinking about back then when a whole lot of people were coming out for the first time, and that we had the US influence and the UK influence kind of moosh up against each other.
Yeah.
And then the Pacific influence and being New Zealand mooshed into that.
Yeah.
I think there's really something to say about that.
Getting a bit of everything.
Yeah.
Because we could. No, you're right. And that's with everything. Arts, film.
Yeah.
Even TV programs. We got the best of the British, best of the Americans. So.
Keeping with the tradition of going all over the place, you've got a couple of kids, and there isn't really DJ culture in the same sense in that generation, eh? I mean, there's people
in this generation?
Yeah, in their generation, your kids' generation, like the availability of technology, a lot more people make beats.
Yeah.
But it's sort of it's a different approach to music, right? As it would be, because the whole world's completely different.
Yeah.
Because this is your lane, like noticing this sort of stuff.
You know what? That's a good, and that's a hard one to.
I sort of put you on the spot, because
No, because I always think about this.
Yeah.
Because now it's like they've got so much equipment at their fingertips. It's like there's so much you can do with it, Because we had hardly anything, which is probably better because we had to make do with what we had.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, especially DJ-wise, you can DJ on a controller, on a CDJ's laptop, and USB, whatever.
So you reckon it breeds a kind of like, I don't know if complacency is the right word, but almost like paralysis of options?
I think Because they understand their generation better than I do.
They understand their generation. Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
Well, like we understand our generation better than...
Because they have to play... They know what their peeps are into.
Yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't have a clue.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we could play the same music, but they're going to understand it more from hearing one of their peers play it.
Right.
If you know what I mean?
That's being young, right?
They'd rather hear one of their crew play it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And that's totally understandable, man. I mean,
yeah.
But fuck, there's some dope DJs out there, man. I mean, yeah. I mean, DJ culture, I think it's funny. I get a lot of the old heads going, "Oh, it's better back in the day." No, it's exactly.
No, I'm not.
I know.
Yeah.
But I think it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
You know, we're still doing the same shit.
Just different means to an end.
We're still playing music on the sound systems to people, but it's their time.
He's right, and then you think about when I watch, like, who's that kid? He's probably not a kid now, but is it K-Swiz, the New Zealand?
Oh yeah.
So he's one example of this whole thing about using technology really well. Like the level of what those guys in those DMC champs or whatever the equivalent is can do these days is so mind-blowing based on the technology, right? Yeah. Like I actually looked at it and I thought, and I just got to Google it, but I haven't got around to it, but I was like, there must be parameters for that, like in terms of rules. Like you can't have a whole lot of stuff on one file or whatever because you're not just dealing with two records, right? So the way they're using effects and everything is just like, it's insane. It's on such a different level of performance and amazing,
They're playing music now.
Yeah, with making new compositions on the spot. On
the spot, because before we could just do it with the vinyl.
Yeah,
and there's only so much you can do. But with that mixer, it's all
You've produced over the years, a lot. Like you've got a lot. You're very low key about it, but you've got a lot of. You've got a lot of few tunes of your own as well.
Yeah, got a few.
You had a MPC in that era. Do you still tattoo around in the studio?
No, not at all. Because there was a time, like. Oh, that was funny. Like, I just saw, I was on Facebook today and I saw Tony Fuemana put up a post about his brother Phil.
Yeah.
Just saying, like, rest in peace, miss you, bro. And I just saw Phil's photo. It just took me back, bro, because he was the first guy to put me in front of a drum machine.
Yeah.
It's when I was, like, Ehrman. I was supposed to do a beat for Ehrman.
Yeah.
And I just went over to, I don't know how I ended up there.
Well, you needed to figure out how to do a beat, right? So
all he did was put the drum machine in front of me and go, there you go, bro. And then he left. And I was just like, I didn't even know how to turn it on. You know what I mean? So I had to work it out.
Yeah.
So I worked out how the loops are there. And then I ended up making a beat for Urban, the Walls of Steel.
Did you go into that sort of trance straight away? I remember first when playing around on that equipment and just going, you just get into that trance of trying to get the loop or the bit right, or
making the first loop was like, holy shit, that's it. I made the record. It was hardly ever finished, but that was cool, man. It just took me back.
I heard Ehrman on this podcast when he came back to do security, because I think that what is it? Something Samoans Part 2. What's the album called? The one he's most known for.
Samoans Part 2.
Yeah. I think that's such a slept-on New Zealand hip-hop classic.
Yeah.
It is such a dope record, and I only realised today that the track that I used to play all the time when I was on radio, you made the beat for, which is
Walls of Steel.
Put your cock in your shaft. Shouldn't really sing the lyrics, but put your cock in. Yeah. I just butchered that.
No, that's with
stick to the fucking podcast.
The field style. He did the chorus.
Yeah, but Ehrman, I used to play it on the breakfast show, right? And then Ehrman, 15 years later, told me what the chorus is.
Yeah.
You know what the chorus is,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, goodness, okay.
And that's, and I did that beat for Ehrman, and then after maybe a year later, he introduced me to Andy Morton, Submariner, and that's how I met Andy.
And was Andy at the beginning of where he's got to now? Because he's like a production legend, right? Was he sort of starting out figuring it all out as well, or was he already producing?
He was already producing them, but he was, I think, Ehrman signed with Deep Grooves.
Yeah.
So I think Kane from Deep Grooves put him in touch with Andy, and they started working things out, started working on an album. And I got a call from my mate Sub-Zero, who was DJing for Ehrman. And he goes, bro, can you come into the studio? Almost act like a translator.
Why?
Well, they just couldn't get the message across on what they wanted to do. Okay. And I rocked in, and that's how I met Andy. And I was like, oh, because they were trying to go, this is the kind of beats that we want, but they didn't know how to get their message across. So that's how I met them. I said, bro, they just want some West Coast style beats.
Was the communication breakdown because they were just from two different worlds? Is that what you're saying? You had to kind of be the person in the middle.
I don't know. They just called me up. I rocked in.
Now you mentioned someone, we can't brush past that, because Pauly Fuemana first used to come up to you as a punter when you were DJing.
Yeah.
And I'd imagine it would be in true charismatic Pauly style, like he'd stick out in a crowd. And he'd said something along the lines of, bro, if I ever get famous, you can be my tour DJ. And at this stage, you're like, it's probably not a statistical likelihood that this punter is going to get famous. So you're like, sure.
That's what he always told me.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He always told you.
He'd be like,
so he like come up to you in a noisy nightclub at the booth. Hey, bro, if I ever get famous, in the middle of Auckland at some random place, if I ever get world famous, I'm going to take you on tour.
Like he told me that when he goes, bro, remember that time we came up to you? And I was like, yeah, But and he used to say, bro, we used to steal cars to come and watch you DJ. I was like,
did you guys get close while you were touring?
Oh yeah. Oh, well, you had to.
Yeah,
because it was only us on tour.
So just walk. I think it's really interesting, man. Walk it through from the beginning. So How Bizarre just goes gangbusters, and then he needs to put a touring band together, and you're the DJ, right?
Well, I mean, it's such a crazy story, but the song, like I've got nothing to do with the record company or whatever, but no, they have their own, they've got their politics or whatever. But he wanted me to DJ. I wasn't going to go because I was like, that's not really my thing. But I remember I showed the itinerary to like all the boys, like to Caps, and they looked at the itinerary and they're like, "Oos, you have to go."
Was it just worldwide?
Yeah,
like, yeah.
Because, bro, you have to go. Are you crazy? I mean, yeah, okay.
Had you travelled much overseas before then?
Mostly to Sydney, to do gigs, but never. I mean, we went all over Europe, all over America. I mean, it was like that song was fucking huge, but it was just crazy, man. Because for an album that was built in the studio, to try and suddenly do a live set, that's hard, man.
Yeah, So it sounds like you didn't have the lead-in of practicing in some warehouse before you went. You just had to ride the wave, right, as a band.
We rehearsed in New York for the tour.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in my opinion, maybe could have prepped a bit better.
Yeah.
But we managed, man. We, good old classic Kiwi style. We just put it together and did it, And, the tours were crazy, man. I mean, it's funny, man. Once that song came on, they just went crazy, man. And one thing I don't know.
It's such an odd record.
Yes.
It's not at all a diss. It's just such an interesting record.
It's got elements of everything.
So odd. Yeah.
But, the thing is, no one from here sort of, I don't want to say copy it, but studied it to figure out how did this work?
You're saying no one did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was massive,
Yeah.
And then when people from overseas look at it through their eyes, they're like, "This is totally different. This is great.
Yeah.
Is this what's coming from Aotearoa?"
Did they even know that bit, that it was from New Zealand? I guess you told them during the shows. Yeah.
No, they knew it was from New Zealand. That's why it worked. Because it's like, this is totally different. Yeah. And also, Pauly had the look.
Oh, yeah.
He had that star. He had that star power,
Yeah.
which just took it to another level, which probably tipped it over.
Well, also just by, I guess what'd you call it, genetics or whatever, outside of the fashion and stuff, he had quite an, nondescript's totally the wrong word, but he didn't look like he was definitely from one culture. He kind of looked like he could be like a South American guy. Or I'm talking from the point of view of through the record company lens, right? You know what I mean?
He looked like someone from my old man's generation.
Yeah, right.
The slick back hair, because they were into the suits, because he sort of had
Ciggies under the sleeve of the arm.
the island shirts
Yeah.
with the suits,
Yeah.
The dress shoes, slick back hair. He looked like an old school Polynesian guy from the 60s.
Yeah, cool.
You know?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then, I mean, bro. And
How long were you away?
We were away for maybe, I think I'm going to say from Jan to September.
And it's hard touring, right? I mean, just because this is again through my watching documentaries lens, but
it was gigs every day. It
become
was
a grind?
Like, it was a hardcore grind. It was like radio shows, and then gigs on the weekend. Constantly moving, like driving from town to town, flying. And
did you have proper support? Did you have a tour manager and
tour
stuff
manager?
like that? Yeah.
We had in some parts we had a support act, like the local supporting act. We did like TV shows and like the Leatherman version, the French Leatherman version, Italian Leatherman, people like that.
And you're all sitting on stage.
We were doing the songs.
So there's all this footage of you from all around the world. So it's crazy.
Yeah.
Have you hunted any of it down later on?
I don't want to hunt it down. But it's funny. We were on Good Morning America.
Yeah.
Like with Regis and Kathy Lee. I think it was that's the big American breakfast show.
Yeah.
So we were on that. But
was anyone like on? It sounds like, because I know, speaking for you and for Pauly, like it takes some work to get used to that life, and some people never do. So was there anyone on the tour party that was equipped to? You know what I mean? Like it sounds like all of you. It's just such a full-on environment to be put into. Who was kind of holding the glue together?
I think it was all on his shoulders.
Yeah, a lot on shoulders.
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah,
you know, and I always give him props, man, because I mean, shit, man, he just a dude from South Auckland, chilling, making music, and then next minute he's got #1 world smash.
Yeah,
you know, and
then just full immersion in that, like you do this.
Real companies say you got to do this, you got to talk to this guy, and everyone's kissing your ass all over the world.
Yeah.
We did this gig in New York on the I think it's the Intrepid. It's like a aircraft carrier in New York Harbor.
This is crazy, dude.
Yeah, like on the what do you call it?
Hudson River.
On the Hudson, but on the aircraft carrier where on the launching. Yeah, they had the stage set up
as you do.
And I think like John Bon Jovi was the opening act or some shit like that. And I remember I was looking at Pauly, and he's talking to like the heads of Polygram, and they look like gangsters with their cigars. And they're like, "Pauly, see that building over there? I own that building." I'm like, holy shit.
That's the weird sort of. That's not really the Kiwi vibe,
But the thing is, they love them.
Yeah,
because they knew that this guy's a star.
Yeah, and I also think when people come from we're not from American culture, so just being slightly different in your approach, I think people like that go, because it's sort of, what am I trying to get at? There's a safety in not being someone sort of like chasing in that same world. I don't know if I'm making sense.
No, you're right. Because he's coming from the outside.
Yeah.
So there's no pressure.
So no novelty.
He's totally cool, and he's naturally cool.
Yeah.
And they love it. They're like, who's this dude?
And then I just spent too much on time with this. It's fascinating. You know, I could talk about that Pauly phenomenon for hours.
I still bug out. Sometimes I think, I'm like, holy shit.
But I just know it's a sensitive. I just know from what I've heard through the grapevine, that's sort of sensitive topic and stuff in terms of how things turned on out. So yeah, but
because like I said, it's like
I will say, did you read the book?
Simon's
book? Yeah,
no, I don't have to read the book.
You lived it.
I was there.
Yeah, that's right. Of course, that's the best answer ever.
Yeah. I mean,
it was great. It was a really, really great read.
Yeah.
And you guys. Also, two more questions on.
Did you read the book?
Yeah, I did.
Is it a good?
And I don't like. Believe it or not, people think I read a lot of books. I do a lot of reading, but I don't actually read a lot of books.
Yeah.
But that was one of those ones that I sat down. And it was a page turner.
Nice.
And I chopped it in a couple of days, whatever it was.
I should. I just haven't got around.
Yeah, I just get it from the library, bro. That's where I got it from.
Nice.
Probably won't be out at the moment. I will be after this comes out. Bloody hell. I'm just kidding. So a couple of questions on that. So, I mean, like, when Pauly got back, was like, how did he, well, you as well, but I think you say most of the pressure was on him. How did he come down from that? Or did he come down from that? Because you're returning from that to here. It's a lot. It's just, well.
I think he went and shot a movie.
Jesus. That. Yeah, right.
Because we were doing this gig in New York. And what's his name? He was in Full Metal Jacket. Matthew. I forgot his name.
I love this in podcasts because people will be yelling at the speaker now, right?
Yeah, he's in Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah. Matthew in Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah. He played. I'm going to say his name wrong. Joker or something. I don't know. But he was there. He was hanging out at the gig, and he wanted Pauly to be in this movie, which he did. He ended up doing. I think it was in South America somewhere. And but that's the thing. He had that look.
So did he have a run of kind of work like that for quite a few years? I sort of,
I think so.
Yeah. And look, I got people who are my nearest and dearest, and it's just getting older. Like
Matthew Modine.
Thank you. You might see them once in 15 years, but you still pick up where you left off. But at the same time, did you guys stay in touch before he passed, or? Yeah.
We stayed in touch a little bit.
Yeah.
Because, to be honest, that tour took a lot out of everyone.
Was it life-changing for you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I went all over the world.
Yeah.
And Nathan was there as well.
Yeah.
Nathan Haynes. Yeah. He was there as well. And, I was able to travel to see different places.
Yeah.
It was work. It was work.
But there was time to look around as well.
The off days that we did have, we cruise around and do this and that. And,
Yeah.
And
I love that. See, there's another 2 hours there if we weren't on the mics. Damn it. Look at that very different tone of laughter.
And it was great, bro. I mean, and we also did the Big Day Out tour.
They were such an opportunity too, locally, right?
Yeah.
Did you do Aussie as well?
We did the whole Aussie tour.
Yeah.
And we were hanging out with Prodigy, Keith Flint.
First time I saw them before they really blew up, I was like, it was in Melbourne. I was there on holiday. That was like one of the best live shows I've ever seen. It was just it was just impeccable.
Yeah.
Just the level of energy, and then to see them get as big as they did, man, it was amazing.
That tour they did for the Big Day Out, it was a game changer.
There was one where they just did Aussie, and I happened to catch them on there. It was like 90, I reckon it would be 95, 96. Anyway, yeah, stunning. Speaking of Australia, another one of the best live shows I've ever seen, and I wasn't even a big fan, even though I know he's amazing, is Beck. And then it turns out the Beck show I saw in Wellington, which Flick DJ? Yeah, that she supported. You did one on Bondi Beach after him. You played after him on Bondi Beach, I read somewhere. Did you?
Before.
At
New Year's Eve.
Because you had it listed as one of your most memorable gigs.
Yeah, New Year's Eve, 97, 98.
How'd you end up doing stuff over there?
It was through a good friend of mine, Leo Tannoy. He, even before, through the early 90s, I used to go over to Aussie and do a lot of DJ gigs. And he hooked up that gig. And he just, and Mario C was there as well. He DJ'd after me.
And what was the highlight? Just because of the sheer numbers and the energy and the fact that it's Bondi frickin' Beach, I guess.
It was just, it was all that. And plus, playing before Beck, and the stage show was ridiculous.
It was ridiculous. And he had that guy, DJ Swamp, who had all his custom records, and he had foot pedals and all the rest of it. I just wasn't expecting any of that.
It was killer.
He was like, it was like, those greats they talk about, like Prince and stuff. To me, that was that level showmanship that night. Hey,
and it was the Odelay.
I do remember it right.
It was the Odelay. It was that album.
Yeah, and I saw him at the Wellington Town Hall, so it was like not a huge venue.
Yeah,
bang on.
Very cool.
That's great, man. Going over to Aussie regularly to play and stuff and be looked after. Do you have always run your own affairs, or did you have to get management at some point? What's that? No, go on.
I've never had management, but it was before. It was after I left the Bretts.
Yeah,
93. Oh no, not left. I got
asked to leave.
No, close.
Yeah,
they pretty much that's enough. Too many fights at this bar. We're closing it down.
What was you? Because they was blaming it on you.
No, that was just they wanted to change things.
Right.
Turn into a jazz bar or something. But I couldn't get any gigs, man. So the only gigs I can get were in Aussie.
Yeah.
So I used to go to Aussie all the time and do gigs, and then
so that was just lucky that you had a connect over there. Yeah.
And then, and then maybe 94, I got the gig at Corsa Libre.
Yeah, and that's when that whole scene started popping off, right? And a whole lot of bands and stuff came out of there. And
they were playing there before I was there, but I was lucky to get that gig. So I had a great time there.
Yeah.
And that's how I met Nathan and those guys.
Yeah. And you toured with him as well, eh?
Yeah, we did. I played with his band and also Freebase. So I got that gig through Zane Lowe. And
How big has he got, man? It's quite nutty, eh?
Bro, I'm not surprised, man. The guy's he's got the gift.
There's a scene in some. I must be missed a documentary going by this podcast, but there's something I saw him in. It might even there's something that series with Dre and that really wealthy Jewish music guy. Anyway, there's a scene where I'm sure it's that series again. Someone will be yelling at their headphones.
Oh yeah, it's on Netflix.
But there's basically a scene where Zane. You know the one, yeah. Zane's just sat at the table on totally friendly terms with like some of the most powerful music industry people in the world, right?
Yeah.
Nuts.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Yeah. Do you catch up with him if he comes back?
Jimmy Iovine.
Jimmy Iovine, yeah.
Yeah, he was...
I got some Jew entertainment guy.
He was... well, he is.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he was here... Well, he was here just a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
But I didn't catch up with him, but he reached out and gave me a phone call.
Yeah.
And then before that, he was here maybe a few years before that, pre-lockdown. But I was playing at Dr. Rudy's.
Yeah.
And he's like, bro, where you playing? I'm like, Dr. Rudy's. I go, oh, come up. This is before how it was now. Yeah. The booth was in the middle of the bar. Anyway. Now
when I was there last, I played a few weeks ago, and I was like, there's an argument for the booth to be out on the balcony in summer.
On the balcony?
Yeah. Hang on, Rudy. Yeah, Rudy's, that balcony where all people sit out. Why don't they have the booth out there sometimes?
Well, they do, like, in the summer.
No, they don't. I've been playing. We're still up the back by the bowling alley.
Oh, but that was before. I mean, that was like.
Okay. You know what's more important? Talking about Zane Lowe. So what were you saying?
Anyway, Dr. Rudy's.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does when he can because he's a fucking busy man. But sometimes he reaches out and you go, hey, what's up? How's things? Blah blah blah. I mean, because we go a ways back, so we did. He's still the same, man. You know. When he's home, he's Zane. When he's home, he's Zipper. But
I've never met the guy, but I'm assuming, because like when you're younger, age differences mean a lot more, and especially in sort of scenes and stuff. I'm guessing he would have been a young guy coming to your gigs and stuff. Like he's a bit younger, isn't he?
He'd be about, maybe 6 years younger.
Yeah, 5. Okay. Not much, right?
Yeah. But I met him through Rob Salmon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Rob's still in New York, eh?
He's still in New York. Because Rob's my brother-in-law.
Yeah, I messaged Simon Grigg today and said, a couple of nuggets on Manny's a bit of an enigma, and he said some nice stuff and said, oh yeah, and I think he's Rob Salmon's brother-in-law. So he married your sister. No, have I got that right? No,
his sister's my partner.
Oh, his sister's your partner.
Yeah.
So you met your partner through playing records. Perfect.
Not even that, mate. We just click in different ways.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with music.
Here's another random segue somewhere else. You've mentioned to me a few times over the years, because you associate me with Wellington, which is understandable, that you kind of felt like along the lines of something like Wellington's your kind of second musical home. Like, always used to enjoy playing down there.
Oh yeah, it's when I used to go down there for gigs, like I'd show up in a V show.
Yeah.
When he used to live down there, he'd be like, welcome home. And I'd be like, yeah, you're right.
That guy's like the PR master that's never studied PR. He's good at linking people up.
Oh, he's great, man.
Making people feel good.
I mean, yeah, he's a whole show in itself.
I think one thing with DJing I know for sure, and even just living somewhere, but particularly with DJing, is you've got a real insight on what people are doing and what the world's doing, and because you've got that sort of view of over the rooms you're playing at, but also you're connected, obviously, because you're into culture and music. And this is a long way around of saying, like, it's quite a big question again, but just a few things that stick out. How's Auckland changed over the years you've been playing here? I'm not just talking about playing music and being in those rooms, but how's the city changed? Because there's that sort of very vibrant 90s scene we've talked about, where High Street was just totally popping off. It's real different these days. So, what are the changes you've seen for better and for worse?
I think it's change. I think it's always changed with the different people that move into the city.
Yeah.
because, now that we have a Brazilian community, they've had a massive effect on the scene here.
Bobby's done a lot. There's one Brazilian on his own. Yes. Totally, man. Yeah.
And of course, with the English cats that have moved in from back in the day.
Oh, Gene and all those guys?
Gino, Kyan.
Yeah.
I mean, Kyan moved up from Welly.
Yeah. But he came here he wasn't even a DJ before he got here.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I remember the first time
he turned up in Lower Hutt on a rainy day and thought that he'd completely fucked up his travel plans in his life.
That guy, man. I mean, I remember I did a gig in Wellington and I was playing, blah, blah, blah. I finished playing and then I was just at the bar, just chilling. And then he was playing. He was a typical guy. He's doing the later set,
Yeah.
And I was just at the bar drinking and I was like, who's that? And they go, oh, that's blah, blah, blah. I was fucking...
Impeccable taste in music.
Yes.
I was just like, he that term Balearic that was getting thrown around, he's very much that guy.
Oh, bro.
That kind of fancy term for playing all sorts of stuff that just makes sense together.
When I told you about the 4 a.m., he always did the late set at the turnaround.
Yeah.
And that's when you listen to tunes. That's when he plays the tunes. Yeah.
How long did you guys do those for? Quite a few years, right?
We did that. That was a lot. Like, I was talking to someone on the weekend, and I was just thinking back, going, shit, we did that. That was a monthly night, and we did it for like, as far as every month, like, maybe 8 years.
Amazing.
Yeah, and there was some great nights. I can't even remember half of them.
Yeah.
Like the guests that we had Benji B, Giles, a lot of local guests, and bro, I mean, big up Kaya, man, because I remember him coming to my flat, and there was this idea to put it together.
Have you got to Raglan to see him?
Yeah, I went to his wedding.
That's nice. I haven't even been to Raglan. I've never even been to Raglan.
Bro, it's a dope little spot, man. You should go down, bro.
The shop looks very much Kyan, like he's such an aesthete. It's such a just beautiful looking space.
Yeah.
I remember people who, I don't know, it's been a while I've been doing these podcasts, but I'm sure this has come up before. Like when he used to work at the Soul Mine, which was the record shop in Kilburnie, Wellington. That's the neighbourhood I grew up in. Like before I knew him at all, and he even his fucking handwriting was cool. Like even the way he wrote stuff on the records was like, oh, that guy. Whoever wrote that's a creative. Like,
he's one of one, bro.
Surely there'll be another reunion for that,
bro. The last time we did it, we played together as the turnaround.
Yeah,
was in Hastings. Like, it was after the lockdown. Like I said, I've got this gig in Hastings, we should go down and play. It's the first time I played. I've been to Hastings before, but it was the first time I played in Hastings.
Good.
It was fucking dope. And all the locals came out.
Yeah.
It was really fucking good night. And because they were in, I think we were in the traffic light thing.
Yeah.
We were still in, was it Orange?
He snuck out.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. We went out and they were like, bro, it was crazy because it was like, fuck, you guys are allowed to dance.
Oh, because they weren't in it.
Yeah.
Ah, and there was no border. Yeah.
They were in green. But it was really funny because I was like...
That's like New Plymouth. Have you played New Plymouth over the years?
New Plymouth.
That place surprisingly pops off, man.
Long time. Yeah, it does. That's a crazy place, man.
Yeah. Actually, it's not so surprising for reasons I might tell you off mic what I found out about New Plymouth that makes sense. Let's say it's a port city.
There's a lot of places that... I'm thinking of Palmy. But yes, New Plymouth is that's different.
There's something about places with big geographical things like that mountain. That place has got a real energy because of that mountain.
Yeah.
Something about that and being on the coast. WOMAD out there. What a great gig. I always thought that was like a sort of like a hippy-dippy...
I've never been to one.
Oh, it's honestly something.
I want to
go. I find like the longer I've been listening to music, the harder it is to kind of like not impress me, but for me to hear something kind of different or new, and then I realize, well, world music's where it is at, because there's a whole lot of rhythms and sounds that, I've just seen a bunch of bands that are just blowing my mind there, and it's right in the middle of the city, but it's in the bowl of Brooklyn, so you feel like you're out at a explore kind of location, or not that amazing, but you don't feel like you're in the city. But if you want to just go, hey, I want to get a coffee or get out, whatever, like you leave out the gate and you're like bang in the middle of New Plymouth, but the lineup's amazing. You should definitely get down there. There's a bit of a pro there for WOMAD, everyone. I haven't been for years, but it got cancelled last year. But I thought about Barney from Fly My Pretty said I should come down this year, so I better start thinking about that because it's soon.
WOMAD?
Yeah, it's in March or April. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, every year. But it's been cancelled the last couple of years. Another thing I was curious, because again, people who listen to my podcast quite regularly, I'm always quite interested in sort of like the business side of things, because it's really quite hard often to make a career as someone kind of in the, I guess, creative arts. But short version of that is, like, when you've done stuff like mixed compilations that have gone gold or tracks that have sold records, is it true that you never see any money from the record industry as an artist? Have you had some residuals and checks over the years?
Not for a comp. Like, I did one comp with Simon Grigg. Yeah. That Rewind one. He just basically paid me to mix it. Like, he chose the songs. And, it's funny, man. Anyway, I don't want to go too deep on there, but I mixed it, like, and then,
it sold heaps and you got your flat fee,
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know anything about that. I don't know anything about the business, but it's weird. But I mixed it, I put my name on it, and then even to this day, bro, people come up to me and they're like, bro, I've still got your
That's
CD.
great, man. Yeah.
It's okay. But I mean, because I'm very, what do you call it? About when I do a mixtape, I'm like, I can't listen back to it.
You're your own worst, like, you're a real critic.
It's like looking at an old school photo, just like, ugh.
Anyone who, whatever their thing is, like, say a band plays a set, or probably, I guess, a painter paints a painting, an artist paints whatever, like, it's always that person that's going to find the tiniest little flaws in it, or that one bit of the 2 hours where something went slightly wrong for 2 seconds, like, you're the only one that hears that level of detail, but I get that. Yeah,
and I didn't choose the colours. No, but I know what I did wrong in that. But
that's back to that scarcity thing again. That when magazines were like a great mix CD, well, you basically buying the mix CD and the magazine stuck to it, right? Yeah, I know that's different to what you did, but they were getting so good for a while.
I like that one.
Which one?
The one I did for Remix.
Yeah,
I did a mix CD for Remix.
Yeah. Good.
That one.
People talk about your one and Philippa's one, and there's a few that people still,
Yeah, because that one that was what I was playing at the time.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to say that was more me.
Yeah.
That at the time.
I get you. Whereas the other one was like mixing together. I get it.
Yeah.
You weren't planning to start a radio station, but then you got asked to start a radio station, right?
Yeah. Bass.
Bass, yeah. For those who don't know, obviously Bass now has survived for years. It's quite impressive, but it's a Freeview low power station. But originally it was sort of like George FM basically going, well, we've got some spare space, let's try doing a different sound. And you're kind of in a broom closet almost, right? Yeah,
that was, they had that frequency, that spare frequency, which Up FM was on there.
Yeah.
And then they were going to leave and go to their own little spot.
Yeah.
And then Thane Kirby and Jeff K, I was doing a show on George at the time, and they approached me and they were like, oh, we want to try something different. We want to do another station. We want you to put it together.
Yeah.
And they wanted a My FM station. And I was like...
Oh, so they wanted it to be commercial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they wanted hip-hop R&B.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, I think we can do something different.
And George was a bit cooler then as well, wasn't it? It hadn't gone as commercial as it is now.
Yeah, it was still DJs doing shows and playing their own thing, but they were mostly house music.
Yeah.
So, I put together, they gave me a month to put a playlist together, get DJs together, have a little schedule of DJs. And, and I came up with the concept, hip-hop, reggae, dub, soul, funk, and then after 10 p.m., drum and bass.
Yeah.
Or that was it.
Yeah.
That was the template. And, it was up and running after a month.
And it's always been low power, right? It's the hard thing in New Zealand is getting the freak. So, but people were listening online then? Like you could stream then, eh?
I think it was No, it wasn't online at that time, but it did go online.
But either way, well received, right?
Yeah, it had a great little community.
Yeah, yeah.
Great following.
Yeah.
Loyal supporters.
Yeah. And how long did you run it for?
I was there for maybe 2 years, and then I got made redundant.
Got asked to leave.
Yeah, again. There's a line here. No, but they just couldn't afford to keep me there.
Oh, look, to get paid for something like that is what, you know.
It was a great, man. It was like the first day job I had in I don't want to say 13 years, but it probably was.
Yeah. Well, look at what Phil did with becoming whatever they call PD these days at Maya. It's just remarkable, man.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
this, like his level of kind of
Yeah.
knowledge.
Well,
of
he
what
was
he's done there.
he was the perfect guy to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They needed a hip hop person at the top.
Is he the only New Zealand DJ with a royal, like he's got it's not a knighthood, he's got a Norman J. He's got a Norman J.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it? He's
Well deserved too.
Queen's Honour or something, Queen's Honours list?
Yeah.
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 Amazing.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that when everyone started out, right?
I know, right? And he's another one. We all started around the same time.
Yeah. This feels like it's reached its natural conclusion, man. Did it go the sort of places you expected it to? I think it's cool that we've sort of, I haven't gone and then we sort of like ticked off everything in order. I think it's good.
And this is what I expected, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just chopping things up. We're just chopping it up.
I think I was pretty thrown at the beginning when we had a bit of a laugh, and then I realised I hadn't hit record. But imagine if I'd got to here, I probably would have never seen you again. I would have been so embarrassed if we got to here and it wasn't recording.
Can we start again?
Thanks for coming in, man. I hope you enjoyed the coffee. It's been a pleasure.
Right.
Cheers.